Matilde, aka Wax Lashes. She is the dopest woman I've ever met. Besides all the other dope women, all of the women I know that I'm friends with are all dope, but she's also all of them are fucking dope. So yeah. I worked with Matilde on a music video for a song called Relay, and I love it. I love that song a lot, and I love Matilde, and I love the video we made. How have you been?
I've actually been good. Like, quarantine has actually been super good for me. I love spending all this time by myself with me, myself, and I, and my art. How are you, baby?
I have the same sentiment and feelings towards that. Yeah, it feels good like being in quarantine or lockdown because I kind of have been like reassessing everything in my life, especially people, not like mostly like people that I thought were friends, and then you kind of see where their priorities are. And like
Yeah,
now that there's no barrier of like, no, like knowing that they're not doing anything or knowing that they have free time, for example, and then you're trying to communicate with them and they're apathetic or non-responsive. And like I
yeah,
noticed that a lot during the start, like maybe the first couple of weeks going in. It felt like that was it didn't feel like heartbroken or like saddened by it, but it was really like um a, a revelation, and it was like something that needed to happen. Nobody owes you anything. That's what I learned. Like nobody in life actually
yes.
owes you anything, which is so fucked up, but true. It's not fucked up. It's just hard to handle sometimes.
I feel like quarantine has just put that in a different perspective. Where, like, when we were all still able to go meet up at restaurants and bars and parks and whatever else, like, I don't know, the whole social dynamic was its own thing. And now we're so separate and we're spending so much time by ourselves and in our own spaces. And it definitely, like, I've noticed how my dynamic with people has changed since I've spent so much time by myself. I've noticed how my dynamic with myself has changed since I've been spending so much time with myself, you know?
Do you think that that dynamic has been good, or what has been maybe like the roughest part of that transition? Because it's, I think a lot of people are going through that, but maybe don't know how to articulate it. Um, how do you feel about this kind of transition of knowing yourself in a new light?
No, totally. Okay, so quarantine has been a really interesting experience for me because I don't know if you and I have even talked about this very much, but I was going through a lot like right before everybody went into their stay-at-home shelter-in-place orders. I had flown out of state to go to my abuelo's funeral, actually.
Mm.
And then I went to visit some friends in my home state right after. And literally the day after I flew back to Denver, where I live, I like had lost my job because I work in both events and food service. I had like lost my job, and then also I had just gotten back from this really emotional, complicated trip. So for me personally, quarantine has been a time to process and heal not only what I was going through right before quarantine started, but also a lot of events that have happened in the last few years for me. And a lot of it has been coming out in my art, in my music, which has been kind of a positive side of it. Like, it has been stressful to be unemployed and be almost entirely isolated except for my dog, which here she is. I'm chilling out in my room in my bed right now. Here's my dog.
That dog, she does not. I love her, but she doesn't feel. It's not mutual, but that is okay. Nobody owes me anything, and that's like a prime example of a person. I mean, she's not a she's not a person, but I just address her like a person. Because she really feels human-like. She's a dog. You know what I mean?
Sometimes I think that I like gave birth to this dog. Like she
Yeah.
is so much like me, but yeah, she definitely has some trust issues, and I want her to love you as much as I love you because I think that you're perfect and amazing, and I want her
It's
to
the best of both worlds, so I'm very blessed just to have you.
I love
I
you,
don't
baby.
think I can ever win.
For anyone who's watching who doesn't know, my dog is named Leica after the first dog in space, and she does not like my dearest friend slash brother Andy, who is speaking to me right now. And it breaks my heart forever because she should, because Andy is wonderful.
Yeah, but you're wonderful, and we're siblings, so that's okay. Dogs don't have to like me. Leica doesn't need to like me, but I like her. But I like people and dogs and things like animals that are really clear with their intentions and how they feel towards me.
My dog is like kind of shady. She's a little bit of a bitch. Like,
yeah, it's okay. So, how have you been in terms of making music?
my music. I've actually found a new sound that feels really good for me. I'm writing songs that I feel like I've wanted to write for a really long time.
I'm excited to hear all of the music you create. I think that your voice is actually really so amazing. I was listening to another singer, and he had similar like vocal range and similar like a little bit of like similar. It reminded me like that voice reminded me of your voice. It was like very angelic. It was kind of I think it might have been like
Angelic.
Aaliyah, a song. Yeah, there was like a song I can't remember where she's going into. It's like I think it's called "At Your Best" or maybe something. It was this one of her popular songs, and
Do you remember who it was?
I think it was Aaliyah.
Aaliyah.
Yeah, like yeah, I think it
Babe.
was. For example, I personally accepted some things and guys that did in the past, and then like when it ended, all the things that it ended for, I already accepted those things that I should have been more proactive about. Like I should have ran, or I should have like stopped.
Yeah.
Like, let's talk about this for a second, or like there's so much that I could have done to instead of accepting it and then letting it go.
Yeah, like no, yeah,
so
like
it's like a circle.
yeah, like you meet this person and they seem so special and wonderful and beautiful, and they seem to like see this thing in you that nobody else ever has, and they say all of these beautiful things, and like you keep seeing all of these red flags, but then at the same time, like this person makes you feel so good that you don't want to believe that those red flags exist. And so when you finally get to that point that you like don't want to be with that person anymore and like you're breaking up, you're like, oh my God, these red flags always existed. I just didn't want to see it because this person made me feel so good about myself that like I didn't want to think that they could ever be a bad person. Even when I heard about their bad experiences, I just wanted to think, oh no, this poor damaged soul that I can be more in love, rather than thinking like, oh, this person is like kind of projecting some things from their own past onto me.
I really have to remember like all of the really good self-love romantic tips that I advice and suggestions that I heard from like friends and like people I saw like random things I saw online. But like really like keep reminding myself because we're in the time of our lives right now where we're still in our 20s and we're very beautiful and we have light, we have so much light, and that comes from like it comes from the art, it comes from how we cultivated ourselves personally, but the guys that we will meet, I think that it's like it's so important. Like I didn't know why people were so picky before when they talked about relationships, like or like why they're single and why it's like why they're like. But for me personally, I kind of going into my next relationship. Hello, person. Abnu. Hello.
Oh,
Hello.
yeah. Hi, John.
It's just important to really remember all of the advice and tips and wisdom, even though there's so much good wisdom and so much tips that like the people in our lives give us. But it's so hard. It's easy to forget all of those things when the next guy who comes around, whoever we manifest or whoever manifests himself.
Exactly.
So it's important to like just really be vigilant. Even if you do all of that too, there's no guarantee with the relationship. But I did have on some for that, and I really hope it manifests somehow. But I don't really care.
No, totally. I mean, I actually had a friend call me earlier tonight, and they were like talking about this whole issue that they were having with an ex-partner. Like, they're not with this partner anymore, but they have some like issues that have been coming into the forefront again. And it's just, I know that a lot of us, including myself, want to think that these romantic relationships don't matter. You know, like this romantic entanglement, it's fine. That's just fleeting, whatever. But I think that these things impact us more than we want to give credit for.
Yes.
And like, okay, actually going back to when you were asking me like how my art is going right now, that's been a huge theme actually, is like, how do we kind of fool ourselves and how do we convince ourselves that we're going through something or that our romantic entanglement means something deeper and grander or whatever? Like, you know, there's so many times that we're involved in something that's so simple and we try to convolute it into something bigger. Or we're going through something that's huge, but we try to oversimplify it because we're scared. Like, I don't think that any of us really know how to look at a deep emotional connection and actually see it for all that it is, like on a platonic or a romantic level. Because I know that for me personally.
Joanna, my sister's on here too.
Oh, hi, baby. What's up, Lena?
Keep going on that thought because that's so important. Don't.
No, yeah, I think that a lot of us downplay relationships and situations that mean a lot to us, but we also put more stock into relationships and situations that don't actually mean that much. And I've been exploring that in my poetry and in my music recently. Like, why do we care so much about the people who care so little about us? But then also, why do we care so little about the people who care so much about us?
Yeah. I had like that happened to me when I broke up with my last real partner. After we broke up, I had no one to confide in here in the Philippines because I put all of my energy and time into that person. And then once it ended, I had no one here like physically like go to and talk to like
Yeah.
and like I need somebody to like have a shoulder to cry on. But it really made me feel like very like wow, everything that all that time I spent with this person went back into just like my regular, like it all ended and then I just went back into regular routine.
Yeah.
But I realized like in hindsight, like, oh, I didn't make time for my friends here. That's why it didn't, I planted the seeds with different people to become friends. But then I never watered it because I was always with this person. And then like when it ended on my birthday, um, it was like the weirdest feeling of feeling so alone and so heartbroken on
Yeah.
the day of your birthday, and like nobody could, no, like most people I couldn't contact because it's the biggest festival in the country that day, and um, So I had no one to really confide in, like close friends, because they were all busy doing other things in the city. And so I was like, fuck, before I go into my next relationship to have like really good friends and like loved ones and like cultivate those relationships more. And then when I go back into a relationship and it ends again, um, I'll have somebody to like really vent to and cry to. I've had friends here where I'm like, what's it called? Where I talk to them here, they're Filipinos that I have like upcoming ladder views with, but I decided that one of them I'm not going to include in the ladder views because I was telling her about like this, we're having a conversation like this, and then she was just like, I don't care, haha. We were just chatting, and I was like, okay, I get it. Everybody has their own like life and like things that they're doing. But it's like if you tell a friend something like that and they respond, I don't care, haha. Then I'm like, why should I care about? Why should I have take the time to like edit a video and put them in my video or add them in a ladder views episode? Because all those people that I've collaborated with in the past, like there's a loving relationship, even though it's in a artistic work environment. Like it's weird to be apathetic towards a person, especially if you're collaborating. It's like if you're in a band with somebody and you talk to them about your like, and you're like maybe not so close, but you're still friends, like or whatever collaborative thing you're doing, and they're like sort of your friends. It's weird to say I don't care, haha. So I was like, I don't care, haha. I'm gonna unfollow them, and I'm gonna just like delete every picture that they have in my Instagram, personally and business, and like this happened a couple of weeks ago. Bye, Angelina. Thank you for joining. And I was just like, I really am I feel like I seem super like like resentful or something, but that really hurt my feelings when somebody says like I don't care.
And unrequited love is the story of my fucking life. Like either somebody is like madly in love with me and I'm like, haha, you want to actually be there for me and care for me? I don't know how to deal with that. Bye. Or I'm like, hi, I love you. Please love me forever. And they're like, no. So like, yeah.
all love is like equal, though. It's kind of weird to think about. Like, yeah, unrequited love is I think I can handle that, but I can't handle apathetic people. Like people who, for example, having former friends or exes and like really love them and like not show that same love. It's like we were together in this friendship or a relationship for 2 years, 5 years. We stood together, and now you're just gonna walk out like that, and you're gonna leave like there was nothing. Like, but then again, like the whole theme of this is like nobody owes us anything. Episode 2. Like,
there you go. No, I totally feel that though. No, I'm so glad that you said that because I've been going through something like that during this whole quarantine process. Like I've been just thinking about how like I don't really owe anybody anything. Nobody really owes me anything. Like I've been hurt by so many different people in my life. I have probably hurt more people than I'm aware of. And like I think it's just human nature. We are hurt and we hurt people until hopefully one day we find some sort of equilibrium where it hurts less on ourselves and others because we've just experienced enough of life to, I don't know, hopefully navigate it better. That's my hope. I hope that humans can get to a point where we experience enough of life that we navigate it better.
I don't think it's gonna that sounds really bad to say, but I don't think it will ever happen, unfortunately, where everybody will be like more on the same page, like in a really functional, like healthier way. Because I'm like,
I hope so. I really hope
I
so, though. Like, I
wish.
know that it's
I
not
do.
realistic, but I really do hope that at least the majority of, but like, I don't know. I like to think that humanity can become better. Like, I am hoping that through this whole quarantine, we can learn how to be better humans to each other. We can learn how to handle things better because I know that we've gone through pandemics like this before, but that was all during a time where we didn't have smartphones and the internet connecting everybody. Like, I'm hoping that the fact that we're going through a global crisis like this right now, with the benefits of the technology that we have, will help us all stay more connected and more compassionate through this process. That's been like a huge reason why I put my artistic, I don't know, endeavors and future on the back burner for a while, was
Yeah.
because it felt like in relation to other situations and people in my life, it was unfair for me to focus on these other things that really just focused on me and my future. Um, and recently I've gotten better about that. I think that quarantine honestly has made me more selfish, but like in a good way. You know, like I
Yeah.
think
Same.
that there's selfishness in a bad way that hurts other people, but I think that there's also selfishness in a good way where you're just kind of like, hey, people in my life, I love all of you, but I need to like take a step back and
Right.
focus on my own goals and my own life for a little bit.
Yeah. I noticed that selfishness too within myself. I'm like seeing it more or feeling it more in this time of quarantine, and then also like seeing it in others as well. Like,
Yeah.
and I think that there's like a balance that I can't even speak on, but of like selfishness versus like self preservation versus like
Yeah.
and there's like so many things that are not necessarily good with those things, and then there's also there's good and bad in it all, like in self, and then like I'm thinking a lot about like people's selfishness of their misunderstandings, like or their understandings are selfish because they can't understand another person because they don't know themselves well enough to know something outside of themselves can be different, like kind of thing. Like,
No, I mean, existence in general is very subjective, and we live in a very big world. There's a lot of different experiences that you can have living on this planet. And I think that, yeah, like quarantine has been really interesting because, on one hand, it's unified a lot of people, but you're right, like, on another hand, it has really separated a lot of people.
definitely.
Like, it just kind of depends on who you are and what kind of community you are in, I guess. And I do want to give a shout out to all of the people in communities that are very homogenized who are rebelling against it. Like,
Yeah.
go to, if you feel like you are the solo lone wolf voice in whatever community you are in, trying to like speak for the greater good or trying to like advocate for what is right now, and you feel like everybody's pushing against you, fucking go you. Like, keep doing that. I love you. I think that you're amazing. I think that you're so brave, because I live in a community where the majority of people are like, yeah, this is serious. Let's do something about it. So if you're in a community that isn't taking this seriously and you are trying to put your voice out there and be brave by saying that like there is some serious stuff going on, go you. I am so inspired by you. I think that you are so much braver and more amazing than I currently am.
Yeah, people, I agree with that shout out. I think people, it's really hard for a person, especially a homogenized community, discussing any sort of like issue of any kind. It's met with a lot of resistance and backlash because it really deviates from their comfort. And
Yeah.
it's, and I think it's I think a good exercise to deviate from your comfort. For me as an artist, I think it's good to deviate from my comfort zone because I can really grow. But like, it's hard for people to change, like like to simply, it's really hard and it doesn't seem logical.
Which, like, without going into too many details, like, I personally...
Brittany, she was in episode 1.
Hello! I met you a long time ago. I don't know if you remember me, but hello, Brittany. It's very lovely to have you here.
We're discussing a lot of different things. We're talking about Matilde, or Wax Lashes, and I are discussing interpersonal communication, relationships. We're talking about comfort, and we're talking about selfishness. We're talking about a lot of different topics. Sorry for cutting off. I just wanted to say that again.
No, thank you, good. It is kind of like a podcast. I love it.
Oh man, I love you.
I love you too. Actually, I don't remember where we were at just now. Where were we?
Did too. I forgot. But it's okay. Like, I honestly need to stop taking myself so seriously with my artwork, which I already have been. Have you seen my new work? My collages are all silly. I love them.
I love them. I love your new collages. No, they're gorgeous. I think it's wonderful. And I feel that I've been trying to take myself less seriously too. So actually, in regards to like I'm working like let's just do like a little like sassy dance.
I smell like a straight guy. Did you hear me?
Okay.
Shout out to the gays. Shout out to the haters because it's all one thing. And that's on period, bitch. Exclamation point. They're all one. I'm speaking on the specific type of gay. Not all gays, but all of them. LGBTQIA+, the G's need some work.
Wait, I did not catch that last part. What?
I said out of the LGBTQIA+, the G's need some work. Oh, I love you too, Brittany. Creativity is play. Play is the word. That's true. I love you too. She's absolutely right. Let's talk about that.
Okay, before we talk about that, Brittany, good night. Please have the sweetest dreams. Thank you for being here. Mwah! We love you.
I want to pin this one because I love hearts. All right, okay. Oh, shit, Matilda, we only have 27 seconds left.
I do?
We both do because IGTV or IG Live only lasts for 1 hour. So any closing thoughts? Closing thoughts. My
closing thoughts are that I need to pee, but I love you.